doing amazing.
It's officially been 1 year since my nose job, and so I wanted to do a little update video for you guys. In this video, we cover my overall experience, plus the journey through my healing after getting my cast off, which you guys haven't seen, and I'm going to answer a couple of your questions at the end. If you haven't already watched my nose job vlog, definitely go give it a watch because you see my candid and raw experience with the healing journey, with the week post getting surgery, and I think it'll just be really helpful if you guys are looking to get a nose job. This is what my nose looked like prior to getting surgery and even the day before I ended up getting my surgery. And this is what it looks like today. We'll give you a little bit of a close-up. This is her from the front, from the left side, from the right side, and underneath my nostrils. I absolutely love it, you guys. I feel so confident and I'm really excited to be able to share this final update with you all. So let's jump in right to my experience with the consultation process. This actually started about 9 months before I got my surgery, so probably summer, fall of 2022. So I set up a couple of consultations during this time, 2 of which were US-based surgeons and 1 which is Canadian. Basically, I was just scouring the internet looking for noses that I liked. I had a connection of mine who recommended my surgeon to me. I really wanted to just enhance my natural features and get something really custom that worked for my facial harmony. Even though I was pretty sure I was going to go with my surgeon, I did do the other consults with the other surgeons I had in mind because I just wanted to be sure and really make sure that this was the surgeon for me, and he was. I talked a little bit about why I wanted to get my nose done in the first place in my vlog, but to recap, I didn't hate my nose, but I also didn't love it either, and I could have went the rest of my life without getting my nose done and still been happy and confident. It's just that I was at a place in my life where I could afford to do it, and I was really excited about it. It ended up being the perfect time because I found the perfect surgeon for me. Had I not found the perfect surgeon, I probably wouldn't have gone through with it at that time, but I did, so I went for it. The 2 consultations I had with the US-based surgeons went okay. I wasn't feeling super good about it. It was not very personal. It was very much, I was talking to him through someone else. And then I had my consultation with the surgeon that I ended up choosing. Everything went absolutely without a hitch. I knew immediately after that consultation that he was going to be my surgeon because he had just a few qualities that I really, really loved and really needed in a surgeon. One of which, he was really personable, and 2, he was extremely honest. On top of that, he was just very friendly and transparent about things. He definitely prioritizes making sure his patients are getting things done for the right reasons. You know, when you go into a consultation, you probably come in with photos, you have this kind of vision or idea of what you kind of want to go for. And he was so honest in saying, this is what your nose looks like now, this is what's possible and what's not possible, and this is what will look good on you as someone who's worked on hundreds and thousands of noses. And that's what I really appreciated about him. He fully focused on natural beauty and enhancing features and not making you look like someone else. He wanted to just make you look like a better version of you. Immediately after that, I knew he was the one, and I went ahead and booked my surgery date with them, which was about 9 months in the future. So before I know it, it's 9 months later and it's the day before my surgery. I land in Toronto and I have an appointment to meet Dr. Asaria in person for the first time. So I come into the clinic, we do some professional imagery in person. He goes over and touches my nose, looks inside of it, and we really just discuss in depth again really what the goals are. Of course, I had some ideas of what I wanted to look like because at this point it was fully aesthetic for me. And so we came up to the conclusion of doing a more straighter bridge with a slight slope and a more pointed tip, so it wasn't completely straight. It has a little bit of a lift on it. And then he also mentioned in person that he wanted to widen my bridge just slightly because it was really skinny. And I was fully on board with that because I kind of already knew that. We also confirmed that it was okay to do a cartilage graft from my head to place over my nose bridge because I have very thin skin, and you can see in the before photos how the bone was actually poking through my skin, and so he really wanted to make sure that was covered up and looking good for when I recover. So we agreed on that, and then he sent me off with my goodie bag that had gauzes, tapes, little scar gels, and things like that, all for the next day of surgery. They handed me my prescription labels that I needed to take to the pharmacy, so I went right there after that and then picked up everything that I needed. The night before surgery was so nerve-wracking. I could not sleep at all. I was super confident in the plan we talked about for my nose. I think it was more just I was in another country by myself, and here I'm being put to sleep and getting cosmetic surgery done on my face of all places, so it was kind of a big deal. But then I woke up, got to the clinic, and I changed out of my clothes and into a gown, got my jewelry all taken out, and then they gave me this really fuzzy robe that was so comfortable. Thankfully, I had my surgery first thing in the morning because I could not do with a surgery being at like 5 p.m. and then you can't eat all day. Like, that would be actually torturous, so I was really glad that they had an opening first thing in the morning. So they brought me back into a little consultation type room until the operating table was ready. And Dr. Asaria came in, he reassured me, like, these are our goals for the day, and I'm feeling super confident about what we're gonna do. This is how long the surgery is gonna take. You have nothing to worry about. Just basically reassured me and was exactly what I needed in that moment. Then they walked me back to the surgery room where I got on the operating table and met my anesthesiologist, Dr. Donnelly, who works with Dr. Asaria at the Face Toronto Clinic. And they've been working together for many, many years, but he was absolutely lovely as well. I've had previous surgery experiences where I wake up with a rash or obviously the sore throat from the tube. I did not have that experience with him whatsoever. I literally got on the table and he was so kind to me. He put my IV in without a hitch and he was just talking to me like, your nose is gonna look so good. Like, we've been working together for many years and I've been doing this for so many years and everything's gonna be fine. Don't even worry about the anesthesia. And he was right, because I literally woke up without a rash. I didn't have any throat soreness or pain that you sometimes get with having that tube. And it just was really seamless. I had such a great anesthesia experience with him. I literally felt like I was just asleep for that long. I think he said my surgery got done quicker than expected, but I can't remember how long it took, but I know it was a decent chunk of hours, like it had to be like 3 to 5 hours, I think, somewhere in that range. And then I woke up in this room where they put you when you're just getting off anesthesia for an hour or so until you're functioning and can leave the clinic. And there was a nurse in there with me, and the first words that came out of my mouth were, "How does my nose look? Does it look good?" And she was like, "Yeah, girl, it looks great. Like, it looks fabulous. You're gonna love it." So I was at peace with that, and she helped me get dressed into my clothes. And like I said, I hired an overnight nurse, which one of the perks of that was they meet me at the surgery clinic and bring me to my hotel. So she walked me out, I met my nurse and did a little bit of a handoff to her, and we went back to my hotel where you can see all of my experience in my nose job vlog. I only had my overnight nurse for the first night because I felt like I just needed some help getting into that routine of like what medications to take when and anything like that, but it was super nice to have that and reassurance that when I was sleeping at night, like, everything would be fine just in case there was a complication. Fast forward a week later and it's time to get my cast off, and I am so excited because you have this cast on the entire time and like your skin is just getting oily, and like I was just so excited for this cast to be taken off so I could feel clean again. So I shared my entire experience getting my cast off on my channel, but I didn't share kind of what was discussed, which was kind of shocking. So I got my cast taken off. They showed me the massages to do and the tapes and how to tape everything. And then Dr. Asaria came in and chatted with me saying how great it looks. You know, it's very swollen right now. But he also mentioned to me that it's a really good thing that I got my nose done because while I was in surgery, he noticed that my nose was very close to collapsing. I know, I was actually shook. My jaw dropped. Basically what he explained to me was my nose was so skinny and I had some indentations near my nostrils before, and on my left side right here he said that it was very close to collapsing because there just wasn't enough support. And so of course he fixed that with the widening of my bridge and just overall fixing everything. So girl, I was shook, but you know what? The girl math was working for me because I was like, in my head, that means that this was a necessary surgery. Like, actually, it was kind of, it paid off in the end. Like, it wasn't elective, like it was a necessity. Now let's get into some of the post-cast removal experience because I didn't talk about this in my vlog while I was healing. So immediately once I got my cast off, I was taking photos to send to everyone. And thank God I had those on the table photos because I would have had no visualization of what my nose was going to look like in the future had it not been for those photos because, girl, she was swollen. Like, immediately she was giving Avatar vibes. Like, even right here in my forehead was swollen. So yeah, she was pretty thick, but all my friends were lying to me and telling me that it looked absolutely stunning, which I thank them for that because I probably would have had a mental spiral if it stayed looking like that, honestly, because it just did not look like me at all at first. But rest assured, it went down. When you first get your cast off, you're also still doing the tapings, you're still doing the rinses, you're doing new massages to incorporate to get the swelling down. So I did that for a few months post-op, I think like 3 months, and at the 3-month mark, I was finally starting to see a little bit more of the swelling going down, like here and on the top of my bridge and really in this type of area on the sides. At 4 months, I was starting to see the shape coming. It was definitely decreasing swelling in the more mid area now and dropping to more of the bottom. 5 months post-op, I was actually in Hawaii for a month, which you would have seen my vlogs from that. And at this point, my nose was really starting to take shape and I was loving it. Like, you can really see how happy I was in my vlogs, but also I filmed a transition TikTok video where you can kind of see. And let me pull it up. Look how good she was looking at just 5 months post-op. I was feeling so confident and really loving how my nose looked. Like, if my nose even would have stayed like that, I would have been extremely happy. Just a month later after that was my 6-month virtual follow-up appointment, where he did tell me that I still held some swelling in the tip of my nose, which I did kind of see, but I was still loving it. I was thriving. And so he just told me that it was going to get slimmer. It was going to start really taking shape. And I was thrilled. I was so thrilled because I was already loving it at that point. My nose was looking better and better each day, and I was just loving it. From 6 months to current, I feel like there hasn't been any major changes. It's just gotten a bit more refined, a bit more detailed, which you can probably see if you gradually watch my vlogs from the summer to now. I feel like you can kind of see more of how my nose is changing when you watch it in video form like that. It's actually so wild because when I got my nose done, I was like, wow, I mean, I can tell differences, but I don't know if it's that big of a difference. Like when the swelling was first coming down in the first couple months. And now I look at the photos and I'm like, holy shit. Literally, it is completely different. Like, it looks so stunning. And it's just those natural changes. And it really helped accentuate how I look. I did film a nose job Q&A, but I just know that I'm going to get some of the standard questions from you guys, so I'll just add them in here. Some of the top questions I always get are, who is your surgeon and where did you get it done? I got my nose done with Dr. Asaria based out of the Face Toronto clinic, and it was absolutely a wonderful experience. He does not sponsor me for any of these videos or vlogging my entire nose job, but you know what? He should. How iconic would that be to be sponsored by a surgeon? I would kind of be living. I would be thriving. Did it hurt? Yes and no. I kind of talked a little bit about this, but I think because my surgeon was so meticulous, nothing really hurt at all. Like, even the graft I got from my head was a little tender if I touched it, but it was never pain. Even my nose, like, nothing hurt. It was just the stitches a little bit pulling sometimes, like if I would move too much, but most of the time it was just the feeling of being uncomfortable because of all the congestion that was in there and like all the swelling. But I managed fine on just Tylenol for the most part. I took the antibiotics the whole duration, but I only took the major pain medication I think one time, and then I switched to Tylenol for the rest of the week. The top question I always get asked is, how much did it cost? And it was around 18,000 Canadian, which I think works out to be 14,500 USD. Like I said, I was considering surgeons in the US, which were far more expensive than that. So it ended up being more cost effective for me to go see him anyways, which was a plus. Girl math for the win. I think my overnight nurse was about 375 USD as well for just one night, like pick up from the clinic and staying overnight with me and leaving at 8 a.m., which honestly was worth the money to me to have the reassurance that I would be okay if something were to happen to me. Thankfully it didn't. Everything went perfectly. Those are my top 3 questions I get asked, but if you have any others, definitely drop them in the comments down below and I'll answer as many as I can. But I really appreciate you guys watching this little update from me. I hope you found it helpful and love the new nose. She is really thriving and I love it so, so much. Thanks so much for all the continued support on this channel. If you aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe because I have some really good vlogs coming soon, and I'll see you next Friday.